What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a branded Despia Bystial deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is a really awesome deck that can summon out all sorts of amazing boss monsters like Mirror Jade. It can even control your opponent's graveyard with amazing cards like your Bystial cards, which is really awesome. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name, description, every single video, getting a signed card in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Aluber. Aluber is one of the best cards in the entire deck because it has an absolutely insane effect. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add a branded spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is usually going to be your copy of your branded fusion, which is one of the most powerful cards in the entire deck. I then play 2 copies of Despia Tragedy. Despia Tragedy is a really good 2 of the deck that if this card is sent to the graveyard or is banished by a card effect, then you can add a Despia monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card. You can also banish this card from your graveyard and then target a branded spell or trap card in your graveyard and set it back to your field, but you can only use either or of this card's effect per turn. You can't use both. I then play a single copy of Ad Libitum. Ad Libitum is a really good one in that because if this card is in your hand or field, is used as a fusion material and is sent to the grave or banished, then you get to target one of your Despia monsters or a level 8 or higher fusion monster that's banished or in your graveyard and special summon it back to your side of the field, which is a really good effect just to bring back some extremely powerful fusion monsters back to the field. I then play 2 copies of the Bestial Lubellion. Lubellion is a really good 2 of the deck, but I only feel like you need 2 copies of this card. It cannot be normal summoned or set, it must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by tributing a level 6 or higher Dark Dragon monster, basically one of your Bestial monsters. And you can only special summon this card once per turn this way. It also has the ability you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to add a Bestial monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card. And if this card is on your field during your main phase, you can place a branded continuous spell or trap card from your deck face up on the field, which is a really good effect to just instantly get cards like Branded Lost on your side of the field or even Branded Beast. We then play 3 copies of Bestial Magnamut. Magnamut is an insanely powerful card that is just really good in this deck. All of your level 6 Bestial monsters actually share a common effect that you can target a light or dark monster in either player's graveyard and banish it. And if you do, special summon this card from your hand. And it's a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster, which is a really awesome effect. And this card is a really unique effect that if this card is special summoned, then you can activate this effect that during the end phase of this turn, add a dragon monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a really good effect just to instantly get you any dragon that you need, like your copies of Lubellion or another one of your Bestial monsters. I then play 2 copies of Bestial Sornir. Sornir is a really good 2 of in this particular build, and I really like this card as a 2 of in this particular deck because it has a really good effect that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send a Bestial monster or a branded spell or trap card from your deck to the graveyard, which is really good to be able to send cards like Branded Opening to give you a little bit of protection, or send your copy of Lubellion to set up for the summon of your copy of Lubellion. I then play a single copy of Druiswurm. Druiswurm is a really good 1 of in this particular deck. It has a really good effect that if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target a special summon monster your opponent controls and send it to the graveyard, which is a really good effect just to deal with an opponent's card. I then play 3 copies of Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz is an insanely powerful 3 of the deck that's basically a super poly on legs, which will help you go into some extremely powerful fusion monsters like your copy of Mirror Jade. You always have to use this card with Branded Fusion, which is why I play this card as a 3 of in this deck. I then play a single copy of Blazing Cartesia. Blazing Cartesia is a really good 1 of in the deck that's basically a walking polymerization, which is absolutely insane. You can also search this card off your copy of Branded Lost, which is why I'm playing this card as a 1 of. And then playing a single copy of Albion the Shrouded Dragon. Albion the Shrouded Dragon is a really good one-of in this particular deck, because this card's name becomes Fallen of Albaz while in the field or in the graveyard. And if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send a Fallen of Albaz or a branded spell or trap card from your hand or deck to the graveyard to apply the following effects, depending on where it was sent from. If it was sent from your hand, you special summon this card, or if it was sent from your deck, you place this card on the bottom of the deck and then you get to draw a card, which is a pretty good effect to be able to just instantly draw a card off this card's effect while also getting you a Foolish Burial. I then play 2 copies of Edgem Chain. Edgem Chain is still a really good 2-of in this particular deck to be able to search out your copy of For Right for Patchwork and to be able to search out your copy of Polymerization off your copy of For Right for Patchwork, and it's just a really good 2-of in this deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is just a really good one of the deck to get the exact card you need in the graveyard when you need it. I then play a single copy of Branded Regained. Branded Regained is a really good card to combo with your copy of your Bystial cards because it has the ability if a light or dark monster is banished except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters and place that monster on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, draw a card. And you only use the effect this card once per turn, and once per turn, if your opponent normally or special summons a monster except during the damage step, you can target a Bystial monster in your graveyard and special summon it, which is an extremely powerful effect to use with this card. I then play a single copy of Branded Lost. Branded Lost is basically like Magical Meltdown, which is really cool because the activation of your cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. And if a fusion monster is fusion summoned to your side of the field, then you can add a Fallen of Albaz or a monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand, which is a really awesome effect to just instantly get cards like Blazing Cartesia directly from your deck to your hand. I then play a single copy of Branded in Red. Branded in Red is just a 1-up to me in this particular build, and it's still really good, but it lets you target a Despia monster or a Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. Then you get to fusion summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extract by banishing the fusion materials listed on it from your hand or field, but it can't attack directly. You're still using this card to go into your copy of Guardian Chimera, but I feel like 1 copy of this card is totally fine in this deck. I'm then playing 2 copies of For Right for Patchwork so we can actually search out Polymerization in the deck, and it's just really good in this particular build to be able to grab your copy of Edgem Chain and a copy of Polymerization. I then play 2 copies of Polymerization. This card is just really good to help us fusion summon into all sorts of extremely powerful fusion monsters. We then play 3 copies of Branded Opening. Branded Opening is a definite 3 on the deck that lets you discard a card and then take a Despia monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it in defense position, which you're always going to be special summoning it. But also for the rest of the turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters, which is totally fine because that's all we're playing in the extra deck anyways. But this card also has some built-in protection because if a fusion monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, just by card effect, you can manage this card from your graveyard instead, which is a really good effect just to protect one of your fusion monsters from being destroyed by a card effect. We then play 3 copies of Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion is one of those powerful cards in the entire deck, letting you fusion summon by using fusion materials from your deck. You always have to use Fallen of Albaz to be able to fusion summon with this particular card, but that's totally fine because we can go into all sorts of amazing cards like Lubellion or our copies of Albion to step into other extremely powerful fusion monsters. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Polymerization is really good in this deck just to be able to break your opponent's board, and while also getting us an extremely powerful monster on our side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness is just really good in this deck to help us dig into the deck to get cards like our copy of Branded Fusion or key combo pieces that we're going to need for our plays. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Branded Banishment. Branded Banishment is a really good one-of in the deck that will surprise your opponent a lot of the times, because you get to target a Despia monster or a level 8 or higher fusion monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Then apply the effect to fusion summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from either player's field. That is an extremely powerful effect that this card is basically a trap version of Super Poly. We then play a single copy of Branded Beast. Branded Beast is just a really good one-of that we can get to our copy of Luflin with, and has the ability at once per turn during the main phase, if you control a bestial monster, you contribute a dragon monster and then target a card that your opponent controls and destroy it. And then during the end phase, you can target a branded continuous spell or trap card in the graveyard and place it face up on the field, and you can only use this effect of this card once per turn. That is an absolutely insane effect that you get a pop while also recovering some of your continuous spells and traps back from the graveyard. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing two copies of Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is just absolutely crazy. Being able to banish a card every other turn is just really, really good and super easy to make with your copy of Branded Fusion. We then play two copies of Luflin, which is how we're usually stepping into the copy of Mirror Jade, by summoning out this card first and then summoning out the copy of Mirror Jade. But really cool combo with this card actually is sending your copy of Sawnir from your deck to the graveyard alongside Fallen Volbaz, to be able to activate the effect of your Sawnir to be able to send a Luflin from your deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect to be able to use in this particular deck. This card is really good because by discarding a card, you can shuffle the fusion materials back into the deck to be able to summon out an extremely powerful fusion monster. We then play two copies of Albion. I have considered bumping this card up to 3, but I'm currently just playing it as a 2-of. This card is basically a miracle fusion on legs, and has the ability, if this card is fusion summon, you can fusion summon a level 8 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck, except another copy of this card, by banishing the fusion materials listed on it from your hand, field, or graveyard, which is a really good effect. But this card also has an insane effect that during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, then you can add to your hand or set a branded spell or trap card from your deck, which is a really powerful effect just to instantly get to cards like your branded in red. We then play a single copy of the Abyss Dragon. Abyss Dragon is a really good one-of in the deck, but you only need a single copy of this card. It's basically a Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon for dragon monsters and Fallen Volbaz. We then play a single copy of Titaniclad. Titaniclad can just get absolutely massive in the deck, which is why I'm playing this card as a one-of in this particular build. And also has the ability that during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, then you can add to your hand or special summon a Fallen Volbaz, which is a pretty insane effect. I then play two copies of Masquerade. This card is the go-to monster in this particular deck because it has the ability, while you control this fusion summon card, your opponent must pay 600 life points to activate cards or effects, which is a really awesome effect just to burn your opponent for 600. And usually you can actually get 2 of these on the field in the first turn, making your opponent pay 1200 life points every time they activate an effect, which is really good. This card also has a really good effect that if your opponent controls a Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Exy, or Link monster, while this card in the graveyard, quick effect, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. That is a really powerful effect. We then play a single copy of Quiritis. Quiritis is a really good one-of in the deck. During the main phase, quick effect, you can change the attack of all monsters currently on the field to 0 until the end of this turn, except level 8 or higher fusion monsters, which is a really awesome effect. We then play a single copy of Guardian Chimera so we can get draws and pops on the field, but usually you're summoning this card out with your copy of Branded in red. We then play a single copy of Dracostopalia, which is a walking negate and really easy to summon in this particular build. One copy of Mud Dragon because it's a super poly target, and the same thing for a copy of Garuga, which is a super poly target as well. I really like these two in the deck because they really make it so you can basically use super poly at any time, which is really insane. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Branded Despia Bystial, I highly recommend it because this deck is absolutely insane, especially in the current format with cards like Masquerade in this deck. Burning your opponent for 1200 points if you have both of them on the field is just really, really good. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.